Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro. Golden and Globe. When the two come together, we get the first major awards of the season. Winners are coming up on the 9th. That's a Sunday. We're going to be reacting, of course, but first we got to do the predictions. There's a lot of categories we feel pretty confident in, but there's also, for every category we're confident in, there's one that we just don't know what the hell is going to happen. We're going to give you our best guess. We are not going to get all these right. It's just a fucking fact. I honestly feel like I'm going to do worse than like 70%. I might even less than like 2/3 of these right, especially with them being first in line this year. It's like, I don't actually know what's happening in a lot of these categories. And, last year we didn't do that well with the fucking Golden Globe predictions because I was predicting Chicago 7. I don't even know when the last year I got the Golden Globe prediction right was for drama, because Bohemian Rhapsody happened, 1917, The Revenant. True. Moonlight was easy to predict. It's been tough. It's been really tough. They have such a small voting body that these kind of big surprises and upsets can happen. I mean, last year, Andrew Day, Jodie Foster. But usually the acting categories correlate pretty well to the eventual Oscar winner. Usually. Last year they were one for 4, but usually they're like pretty goddamn tight. So let's just go into Best Drama. Now, Belfast, definitely one of the possible winners here. Is it Trial of Chicago 7? Because I was predicting Trial of Chicago 7 will win Golden Globe and then go on to win the Oscar at this point in the year. And could it be a repeat? It could be. It might be Chicago 7, and I might be thrown off my little rocking horse here. But Belfast has 7 nominations. 7. From all indications, people love it who vote for stuff. People are like, where's the passion for Belfast? I haven't met anybody who feels like over the moon about it, but it's evident in the nominations we've been seeing that people fucking love it. Even Critics' Choice Awards voters are completely different people than you. Well, they're not completely different. We are all human beings. We're all one family. We can hold hands and, sit around the campfire and jerk each other off. But at the end of the day, that's not going to help us with these predictions, is it? Power of the Dog also clearly has a chance to win Best Drama. 7 nominations. Once again. It could absolutely go either way. Power of the Dog has been doing extremely well as critics. But we've been wondering, how our audience is going to respond. Because I remember watching the movie and being like, oh, that is not a Best Picture winner. But it's kind of like Nomadland. I didn't see that as a winner, and yet winner it did. And Power of the Dog might be the same kind of thing. And the thing with last year with Trial versus Nomadland was like, Trial didn't have a Green Book level love. It was close, but it wasn't there. It didn't have the 8.2 on IMDb that Green Book has. It also didn't come out at festivals. Belfast also does not have like an 8.2 on IMDb. It has a 7.7. No, it doesn't. It was lower than that. Belfast is a 7.4 on IMDb. But Power of the Dog might be Nomadland, although it only has a 7.0 on IMDb. That's pretty light. Nomadland's audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is like still an 80. Power of the Dog is low 60s. It would be the lowest rated Best Picture Oscar winner. Should have won the Oscar. Since 1963, okay? Some movie called like Tom Jones. We don't know how stark the divide is between the critics and the awards voters just yet. And we have seen the Golden Globes take the side of like the audience, with Bohemian Rhapsody being like the most obvious example. But last year siding with Nomadland, them giving it to Boyhood, like they've done both. It's really, really tough to predict. I'm leaning towards Belfast. Yeah, I'm gonna lean towards Belfast here. What else could win? I don't think that this is where it ends here. I think there's a small chance, there's a dark horse chance for Dune. Because I think Dune's the path there could be a director and picture win. And that would kind of resemble 1917 and The Revenant. I mean, I think really like a director win would have to carry it to a picture win. I think people might be waiting on the part 2, to see how the story concludes. I don't know. First half. I don't know if we're ready to award it yet. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I agree it's number 3 because King Richard didn't get a screenplay or a director nomination. It has 4 nominations. It's not looking bad, but I don't think it's like looking like it's going to place a win. Yeah, King Richard's been performing a little bit less than I originally thought. And then I thought it might be like a frontrunner challenger. I don't think so anymore. Dakota's the last one. That only has 2 nominations. I do not think that has a chance to win. All right, comedy, musical, picture. Almost everyone's going to be predicting West Side Story, right? I think you could make a case for something else, but West Side Story is the easiest to make, and that is what I would be predicting. Are the Golden Globes going to turn down the opportunity to give it to like the biggest musical of the year? Probably not. They're probably very excited to be able to do this. They're probably going to love the movie. Spielberg's got a shot at director. Ariana DeBose is going to win supporting actress. Rachel Zegler's got a shot at actress. I don't see how you could not predict it. I don't think it's impossible that there's an upset. I don't think that it's going to be either one of the musicals. I don't think Tick, Tick, Boom or Cyrano stand a chance to upset. I think if Tick Tick Boom does. I don't think that's not stronger than West Side Story.
I think it stands a chance to upset.
I think what stands a chance to upset is Don't Look Up. I think that's the dark horse,
Maybe.
in my opinion.
Maybe. Yeah, I guess musical against musical, it might be harder. But there are some people who really love Don't Look Up. But West Side Story has a lot of fans. Like, that's such an agreeable movie.
Don't Look Up is one of the most popular movies that's been released this year. And that's not an exaggeration. That's not a joke. Aside from Dune, it's the most like watched movie out of all the nominees.
A lot of normal people think it's one of the best of the year. A lot of people who are not like anti Adam McKay and his goofiness,
which is loving this movie. And it's trending on Netflix very much. And I don't know if this comparison is going to play out, but you know, last year, remember when Rosamund Pike beat Maria Bakalova, and it was pretty surprising. That movie was trending the fuck out of Netflix at that moment, like at that week.
No, it was having a moment. I would also argue that Bohemian Rhapsody was having a moment at the box office.
So I am weary, you know, maybe Don't Look Up can win this award, or maybe it's Screenplay. I guess we'll talk about that later, but I'm not going to bet against West Side Story because I just think that's too much of a titan here.
Yeah, I think that's a fair argument. Licorice Pizza, we were wondering, could that contend with the heavyweights in Best Picture? I don't think it is anymore, so I wouldn't make the argument that it could win here. And Cyrano, like, obviously that's number 5. Yeah, I agree. I would maybe go West Side Story, Don't Look Up, Tick Tick Boom.
I'd put Licorice Pizza at 3, though. And director. This could go a lot of different ways, too. I'm very, very conflicted about this category. You know, I don't think they're going to do Branagh. I think that there's more passion for other people.
There's like 3 other really compelling Golden Globe director choices here.
Jane Campion has been absolutely sweeping with the critics. She may very well win the Golden Globe for Power of the Dog. The Golden Globes did surprise us, though, as you were saying earlier, with Sam Mendes winning and Inarritu winning for The Revenant. Those were surprises. You know, they gave it to the movies that were like the technical juggernauts, you know, the most impressive made movies. And they also did that with Avatar, giving that director. Hugo won director too. And oftentimes those are not movies that are sweeping with the critics. And so maybe instead of Jane Campion, it's Spielberg or Villeneuve. These movies are both going for like 10 Oscar nominations right now.
Yeah, and I think those are very possible. I am pretty convinced at this point that Jane Campion will win director at the Oscars. I don't think that necessarily means Golden Globes will follow. I think they might go with Spielberg here because they will probably give that movie Best Comedy Musical, and Spielberg shot and directed the shit out of that movie. It was visually spectacular.
Honestly, I'm like very 50-50 on predicting Campion or Spielberg, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. I actually don't know. I might even go away from you and predict Campion.
I think I might predict Campion too, because fuck you.
Switching?
You know, it might be convenient to imagine this, but given that Belfast and Power of the Dog have 7 nominations, and I feel weird not predicting Power of the Dog to win something. I might have to say Power of the Dog gets director, Belfast gets picture,
and then West Side Story would take comedy musical. And you know, when Hugo won director, they've done the 3-way split a few times actually. Sometimes the Golden Globes do like to spread the love. We've had instances where movies won only Best Picture, like Moonlight and Babel. Maybe that's Belfast. Honestly, that could definitely be Belfast. But yeah, I do feel like they could spread the love, and I have a hard time seeing Power of the Dog not winning something. Maybe that's screenplay or director or picture.
I'm trying to like prepare myself if they say Spielberg or Villeneuve though. I'm trying to prepare myself, and I think you should be prepared too. But I will say Campion for now.
Best actor in a drama. Now this is most certainly between Will Smith and Benedict Cumberbatch, and I'd be shocked if it was any other way. Will Smith has been positioned as like, oh, he's the front runner, like it's just gonna happen, and yet Benedict Cumberbatch sweeping the Critics Awards, perhaps even a little bit predictably, but to the extent where I do wonder if maybe Will Smith is like a mirage and it's actually Benedict Cumberbatch who is going to get the passion and get the votes.
You're saying that because the critics are awarding him at every single turn.
Yeah, every single turn. That's also because they fucking love The Power of the Dog. And again, it's going to be interesting to see if that gap that exists where audiences who are not like so into like filmmaking and the power of film, they don't love Power of the Dog, but critics eat that shit for breakfast.
But these are not audiences, they're journalists.
I know, that's the interesting thing though. It's like how I think the Golden Globes is going to be an interesting place to see, you know, how that plays out. But I do think that Will Smith is going to take this.
Yeah, it's interesting. He had the hype for so long. You know, I do wonder if maybe the locomotive could run out of steam, but I have yet to see it. I will not go against it. I mean, I saw the movie with my own eyes, and I saw like a Best Actor winner there.
Cumberbatch probably has a decent shot to win Critics' Choice and BAFTA, and I'm really curious to see how that goes.
Yeah.
Best Actress in a Drama. Again, this is a situation where there's one very, very clear critics sweeper, and it's Kristen Stewart. And this movie does also have a really big sort of audience divide. On Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score is like a 50.
And it didn't even get score. It didn't get a single other nomination at the Globes.
And does that mean that Kristen Stewart maybe takes a little dip when it comes to like the major precursors, like the big awards? And the Golden Globes could be the place to present that alternate option.
It's also Kristen Stewart's first nomination. Jessica Chastain has been all over TV, has a lot of nominations. Nicole Kidman has a fuckboat of nominations.
Chastain has 7 Golden Globe nominations and Kidman has 16.
Yeah, so those are both very viable to me. Ever since I saw Eyes of Tammy Faye, I've been thinking, how does she not win for that? I know Kristen Stewart's amazing and she deserves the win as well. I just don't know how Jessica Chastain doesn't at least challenge Kristen Stewart somewhere. I think the Golden Globes might be the first place to do that and for people to see that Spencer might not have as much passion. I also wonder if people who are not loving Spencer are having a harder time getting behind Kristen Stewart's performance because it is unconventional.
Kristen Stewart's still got a great shot to win this award, but I'm going to predict a surprise here. I'm going to predict Jessica Chastain, and she's been showing herself to be pretty strong. She's actually like number 2 when it comes to the nomination tally. Kidman, again, is very possible, but Kidman has 4 Golden Globes. She doesn't really need another. Okay?
That'd be pretty disgusting to give her a 4th. And for this, like, I don't know. I'm not behind being the Ricardos winning any awards.
No, I don't think she needs it. It's a little bit of a weird performance, to be quite honest. And Olivia Colman also has a lot of Golden Globe nominations. Lady Gaga has Golden Globe nominations too.
They also clearly really like The Lost Daughter.
I think there's a little bit of a case to make for anybody in this category.
I don't think Olivia Colman has a great case. Lady Gaga, you could say it. You could say that.
But I think I would want to see a Jared Leto nomination for me to think that, and they didn't do that. But I feel like they love Chastain. And she's also nominated for Scenes of a Marriage this year. She got nominated for Miss Sloane, for Most Violent Year, for Molly's Game. I mean, she's big, so I'm predicting her.
Does that always matter?
It can matter. I mean, Rosamund Pike had like that random nomination for A Private War, and then she won the Globe. That was important.
Yeah.
Although Andra Day, she didn't have shit. She didn't have shit.
Yeah.
And Jodie Foster winning too. A lot of people thought it was going to be Amanda Seyfried, so you don't really know. Comedy musical actor. Andrew Garfield feels pretty out front. I don't think a lot of people are going to be predicting anyone else. He is the biggest contender for the Oscar here, which often correlates to a win. And he's in a musical performance, and it's also a biopic.
I think he's definitely winning here.
Yeah.
I mean, Peter Dinklage is the upset, right? Because he could get the Oscar nomination. He's the only other person in the category who's contending for an Oscar nomination seriously.
Well, DiCaprio, I think, also, like,
oh yeah, no, you're right.
Upset.
He could also get an Oscar nomination, perhaps. I don't think he's going to upset here, though.
He has enough Golden Globes.
They didn't even give it to him for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. They went with Taron Egerton for doing a musical performance. And Tick Tick Boom is like a one-man show. I really don't see how they could go any other way. I think if Will Smith weren't in the conversation, he might be people's perceived frontrunner. He and Benedict Cumberbatch might be duking it out. Everybody comes away from Tick Tick Boom loving Andrew Garfield, and he's having a big moment with Spider-Man as well.
Comedy musical actress. This one's very clearly between Rachel Zegler and Alana Haim, I think.
Yep.
These two are the most likely to get the Oscar nomination. If one of them's more likely, I'd say it's Alana Haim. I think Alana Haim's, she's been winning more critics awards. But then again, Rachel Zegler's in a musical and she's singing, and I think that does help with the Golden Globes.
I think she's the perceived frontrunner. I feel like if Gold Derby polls were open, she would be number 1.
And they're gonna like that movie more than Licorice Pizza too.
I might find that so compelling that it would be a no-brainer. I might. However, I do agree that most of the time I go by what seems to be more likely to get the Oscar nomination. Because, for example, I remember people predicting Emily Blunt for Into the Woods because it's a musical. It's a thing that the Golden Globes would like. And there's Amy Adams over here in Big Eyes, who actually had a pretty baity performance. Emily Blunt did not stand a chance to be nominated at the Oscars, but Amy Adams kind of did. And she won for that movie over the perceived frontrunner for that award.
It's also interesting that they have the same obstacle of both being newcomers, because a lot of times that hurts, like Maria Bakalova not winning last year. If you wanted to make the case that they're not going to give it to a newcomer somehow, then you'd probably say like Jennifer Lawrence is going to win, which boggles the mind. Like, you could make a case for that on paper pretty well. Like, oh, she won for Joy. She won for Silver Linings Playbook. She won for American Hustle. Like, they love her. And Don't Look Up's nominated for 4 awards. But then you just have to look at the performance, and it's like clearly not her best work. And she got in because the category wasn't that crowded.
Yeah.
That's what's happening here. I don't think that she's going to win it. It would be stunning if she did. I'd be absolutely just shocked.
Yeah, I could see Licorice Pizza being unfairly snubbed here. Is it like she's singing and she's not for me?
I feel like Alana Haim will have a lot of passion, but I almost imagine that this body in particular could love West Side Story so much that they just say, like, Rachel Zegler amazing too. The absence of the director nomination for Licorice Pizza, I think, kind of is a definitive statement on how much they like the movie. Like, they like it enough to nominate it for stuff. I mean, Cooper Hoffman got in too, but it misses director, and they haven't been massive fans of Paul Thomas Anderson before. In fact, Screenplay was his first nomination ever for this movie. So,
which is insane. Never got director, never got screenplay before.
So Rachel Zegler for me.
I guess I'll do Rachel Zegler also. It's a really tough one. Best screenplay is really interesting also. You know, Belfast, let's start there. We think it very well might win the best picture. Could win best screenplay too.
Green Book style. Green Book didn't need to win screenplay, okay? But they gave it in anyway. Their screenplay picks at the Golden Globes are often movies that are very dialogue-y. The script stands out, like giving it to Her and Birdman, okay? Even though Birdman didn't win fucking picture.
They could have given it to The Favorite, though, and they gave it to Green Book instead. But that's because Green Book beat The Favorite in the category they were competing in.
Green Book had a lot of that, like, witty dialogue, though. And Belfast a little bit has that. I think, you know, I'm not trying to compare Belfast to Green Book.
It's got the little speeches, you know, where they talk to Buddy and they're like, Buddy, you're gonna grow up and you're gonna have to leave Belfast. But I actually think, like, the most textbook winner here could be Licorice Pizza because of the kind of movie it is. Like, they did give it to Her and Steve Jobs. Like, they do have kind of interesting picks here. Licorice Pizza's screenplay is very, you know, it's a little experimental. It's very fun. And the dialogue at times is like really engaging and witty. But they have snubbed PTA so many times that it makes me wonder, do you just not like him? Do you not even perceive him as being overdue for an award like he might be for the Academy Awards?
They go for their favorites a lot in this category. Like, they've given it to Aaron Sorkin and Quentin Tarantino 3 times a pop. And I don't think PTA is necessarily their favorite. I mean, I don't know if anyone in this category is their favorite. Campion, you know, she's probably going to win the Oscar for adapted screenplay, but when you put her in the mix with all the other original scripts, I think it's tough. I mean, I think she really could win for this. But I don't know if the movie fits the type of thing that they go for. Like, is it the dialogue-y movie? Or, I mean, it's like very cleverly, like, thought out. It's very, like, intricate. And
well, we've seen that the Golden Globes are capable of giving a movie screenplay even when it's not gonna, like, win the best drama or comedy award. So they do like to, you know, evaluate the script on its own and for its own merits. And Belfast, I don't know that the script stands out higher than, like, another part of the film. That's why I could see Belfast just winning drama. Licorice Pizza, on the other hand, the script does stand out. It does feel like if you're going to award that movie anything, you give it a screenplay award.
You could say, oh, look at how Her won to make a case for Licorice Pizza, but then you could just say, look how Green Book won to make a case for Belfast. And, like, at the end of the day, like, you could logic this, logic that, and pull from this example and that example, but then you don't really know what the voters are going to do. Now, I'm going to make the case for something else, because I am, like, actually thinking that this could happen, and Don't Look Up winning screenplay. As I said, the movie is surging hard right now. Now, what could hurt it maybe is that a lot of the dialogue is kind of improvised. It's a little bit loosey-goosey. They have nominated Adam McKay 3 times so far.
They do like him.
I would be more convinced about this if there was a director nomination attached to Don't Look Up.
Yeah, I could see a case for it, though. I do see even, you know, its most ardent fans saying it's a little bit sloppy in places, so maybe that hurts it in the screenplay.
And then there's Being the Ricardos, which, I mean, you can't really underestimate Aaron Sorkin, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, he won for Steve Jobs. That movie wasn't even nominated for Best Picture.
Because all the other films contending are nominated in their respective categories.
and I say to you, Steve Jobs.
And I say to you, that was a hell of a script, and it was like one of Sorkin's best scripts. And this is a much better movie. I mean, this is what they did not nominate it for drama. Like, I don't know. I don't think this goes very far. I don't think this gets screenplay.
I agree. I'm not actually really considering it. I'm fucking stumped.
Do they go for original screenplays more often? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
The answer is definitely yes.
Yeah.
Power of the Dog's very subtle. You know, a lot is unexpressed through the dialogue. And weirdly enough, I think I am going to predict Licorice Pizza to win here. It's basically, on one hand, They've snubbed PTA for everything that he could have been nominated for prior to this. On the other hand, it seems like the movie that would win screenplay. And that would get a boost here.
It's popular with PTA fans, but people who aren't like PTA fans are kind of like, I liked it. I don't know if I get what the critics are going for. Most of the time, the screenplay winner goes to a director nominee. Not always, but most of the time.
That's a very good point, actually.
So I'm going to go for Belfast. I'm going to go for Belfast reluctantly. I don't know.
You make a very compelling case here, especially with the, director and screenplay correlation. It does tick all the boxes. It's an original screenplay. It's got the director nomination. Maybe I'm just going to be defiant in here since you're going for it. I'm going to be defiant.
Wow. Supporting actress. This one is actually the easiest acting out of all.
I think so.
Well, except for maybe Andrew Garfield. Ariana DeBose. Obviously, 100%? 98%?
Yeah, 94%.
Yeah,
94%.
No, I'm not going to go too high on that. She has the most critic wins. She has the most critic nominations. And this, she had to, kind of come up.
That's what happened with Daniel Kaluuya and Judas and the Black Messiah.
The movie kind of came out late.
There's nothing else you need to say. Even the critics are saying we like you the best.
They love musicals, and they're going to give it, comedy musical.
I think she's going to win this award everywhere. And
I think so too.
We're just going to be done with it.
I think it might be a clean ass sweep. Very clean.
Very tidy.
Who would your runner up be? Because
who cares?
Would it be Kirsten Dunst, Ingenue Ellis, Katrina Balfe even?
Yeah, it would be. I'd probably say Ingenue Ellis or Katrina Balfe would be the runner-up. I mean, Katrina Balfe, people were saying she was going to win until West Side Story came out, so.
She has less wins than, everybody else that's nominated in this category. Less wins than, in fact, no wins. She's the only one with no wins in this category.
Okay. Anyway, we don't even need to talk about it because that's how much of a lock she is, that you can't even think about who's the runner-up. Supporting actor, very fascinating because the critics have formed a very interesting single file line behind Cody Smith-McPhee.
Very interesting.
Because
a little baffling.
I did not think he was going to be nominated for that movie after I saw it, and now I definitely think he will be because they are giving him the win everywhere. I think this has to be in part due to a lack of imagination. It's not that I think the performance is bad. Not even that I think it's not worthy of a nomination, but giving it the award, I don't really understand.
Power of the Dog is the far and away winner frontrunner in picture, director, actor, supporting actor, and screenplay, and cinematography.
And it's not going to win every one of those Oscars.
Exactly. It's not going to win 6 Oscars. So it's we have to start thinking about what the alternatives are because the critics, they're so gung-ho on Power of the Dog that they can't even bother to, think about what else they like.
And, we don't have to worry about Jared Leto here. We can just sweep right past him. We can groundhog under him. And who can we groundhog and pop up and look at? We looked at Cody Smith-McPhee. We turn our heads. And there's Troy Kotzer for Coda. There he is. It's hard to say if he's the front runner. We don't know who the front runner for this is going to be. Whatever the Globes do, I imagine everyone's going to switch to it. It's going to be kind of annoying.
Unless it's crazy.
But I'm going to try to predict here what I think will win the Oscar. That's going to be my strategy since I don't know any other way to do it. And, even though we haven't talked about the Belfast Boys yet, I think I'm going to predict Troy Kotzer here, go out on a little bit of a limb and say I think he might become the front runner for the Oscar. And if I'm wrong here, then maybe I'm wrong overall. But I would gladly be wrong here first. I just think if you've seen all these performances, how do you not give it to Troy? He makes you cry. I don't think anybody else really makes you cry to that extent. And it's an Oscar-worthy performance.
In our last predictions video, we did assert Troy Kotzer as the number one because we said, now that Coda is getting nominated for Best Picture,
and that he has Golden Globe and Critics' Choice, he'll get nominated.
And the fact that they nominated Coda really helps this prediction too. I mean, they nominated it very lightly, just picture and supporting actor, which also kind of says something about how he can get in anywhere. When you are shown Coda, you know that he's the best. Okay, maybe that's an optimistic way to view this, but he's so goddamn good. It could hurt him that he is not well known at all. I mean, he's a newcomer. It's his first major performance.
Or it could be good for him because he's the underdog. Not that that's usually a good thing, but I feel it could make you feel good to be voting for him and giving him the awards.
I mean, we didn't even predict him to get nominated because, people like Paul Raci and Yuh Jung Yoon, who were going for their first nominations, were not even nominated at the Golden Globes. And yet here he is, and is he winning? The other thing is that Kieran Hines has established himself as the Belfast boy to beat. Jamie Dornan, the first few sort of awards bodies, they were going in step. They were both getting nominated everywhere. Now, a lot of awards bodies and critic circles are saying, we're going to take Hines, we're going to leave Jordan out. And this has happened enough times where Kieran Hines clearly the more likely winner. I don't know if he did like enough in the movie to make me think like, oh, I can understand how he's winning, but he could just win anyway. I think it's between those three: Cody Smith-McPhee, Troy Kotsur, and Kieran Hines.
You still think Cody Smith-McPhee has a chance, huh?
I think he has a chance. I mean, you can't deny that like he's been sweeping so hard.
You don't think it's between those three.
Oh,
you also
right.
think Ben Affleck has a chance.
I also think Ben Affleck has a
this.
chance. Ben Affleck has a chance, fellas.
He kind of does.
This is Jodie Foster. I mean, I guess it could be like Aaron Taylor Johnson too.
Yeah.
But they sometimes will go for like a number 4 and pop them up there. And the reason that this could be, happening this year is because the top 3 contenders are all first-time nominees. They're not in like the club.
That could be a weird thing that I could see happening. It could be nuts. We would not know what to do to predict him for a nomination at the Oscars. We just wouldn't know.
It would be no. It'd be still no.
It'd still be no.
Just like Jodie Foster and Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah, it'd probably still be no. Troy should be winning. This doesn't need to be complicated.
I'm gonna predict him too, like sort of reluctantly, because I'm almost hope dicting a little bit on this one, but I just can't really see Cody's.
Like Jung Yoon. Like you were allowed to hopefully say she's gonna win, and then she did.
I ended up not hope dicting her at the SAG, and I was wrong because I hope dicted her at the Critics' Choice, and I was wrong. I don't really see it being Cody Smith-McPhee. I don't really understand why it'd be Kieran Hines, and so I predict Troy.
Yeah, score's gonna be Dune. We don't need to make this a long debate. I think it will be Dune.
Sometimes the Golden Globes go for a big long shot, right?
Like Give to All Is Lost.
Yeah, but people always try to do this shit where they go, A Quiet Place got nominated, I'm going to predict that to win. And then they go, Motherless Brooklyn, I guess even that could win. Like, no, chill the fuck out with that shit.
Maybe once in a decade, twice in a decade if you're lucky, but most of the time it's going to be predictable.
Yeah, people tried to do this with Soul last year. They were like, oh, I think this is going to get upset by something else. No, Soul is just...
And that's how I think Dune's going to be with Hans Zimmer this year. Like, it makes sense that movie is winning. It deserves to win.
And there's no reason to think the Golden Globes wouldn't be, like, totally in on that. Now, if there's an upset, I think it could be Power of the Dog.
Yeah, and I'd be happy about that, too.
I guess, like, the fact that they nominated something like Parallel Mothers or Encanto, like... Maybe.
To me it's Dune.
It's Dune.
And that's kind of it. Song, you said you're gonna predict Billie Eilish, didn't you?
The Golden Globes were one of few places to give it to Writings on the Wall when Sam Smith won for Spectre. Unsurprisingly, Skyfall also won. This movie is actually doing better in terms of nominations and wins than Be Alive by Beyonce, which is the other really serious threat here. And that's one I thought was gonna win for quite a while. But seeing how it's not really like winning awards yet makes me think it could just be No Time to Die because that was like the more popular song. Obviously, being part of King Richard, being part of a movie that's been nominated in other categories helps. They both have a lot of star power behind them and they could both win, but I'm going to go with No Time to Die on this.
Yeah, I'll just follow you on that one.
They could give it to Dos Oruguitas, I guess. Although that song has not been the most popular from the movie in terms of like what people are playing when they leave the theater, streaming and everything. Last year they gave it to Yossi from The Life Ahead. So, I mean, that was like not quite predictable.
I think it could be between those three. And they also gave Encanto a score nomination. So I have to imagine that helps it with its potential song win.
They didn't give it to Remember Me from Coco, and that was the exact same song as Dos Oruguitas.
Animated feature, gonna be Encanto, which has a, abundant 3 nominations.
Oh shit, you're right. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. It's gonna be Encanto. Mitchell's wasn't nominated.
Mitchell's, I think, might be competitive at Critics' Choice and beyond, like even the Oscar, by snubbing Mitchell's and giving Encanto so many nominations. Like, they made it pretty clear what they're gonna do.
And Encanto is a lovely movie. I'll be happy if it wins. It really is just a joy. It's just a joy. And then international film where there is no Teton and no worst person in the world.
Oh, I hate this.
Not that we would be predicting those anywhere. Drive My Car has declared itself the international frontrunner. Now, I think this is a little bizarre because Drive My Car is a 3-hour slow burn. And it is very philosophical and deep and intellectual. And I have to wonder whether something more light and friendly could win instead of Drive My Car. But this film has surprised me with the nominations that it's been getting. I mean, well, what would challenge it? That's my question.
I'll tell you what could challenge it right now. Parallel Mothers has a score nomination. That can maybe challenge it. Having seen the movie, I don't know if that's like the pick that everybody's going to gather around. I'm looking at In the Fade, and I know that's only like one movie, but I'm kind of thinking that The Hand of God can pull off a surprise win here.
Really?
But Drive My Car is like still riding the wave. It's still riding this huge wave of momentum, and it seems like even as it broadens its reach, even as more people see it who normally wouldn't seek out a film like that, like they're loving it. I think I will predict Drive My Car, but part of me thinks that The Hand of God is the spoiler, and then maybe Parallel Mothers after that. I think it'll, drive right in there.
It'll park the car in the international slot.
Those are our Golden Globes predictions, and you can be sure to tune in for our reactions. It's, of course, going to come out as soon as we can edit them after the awards happen. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
What color car are you driving to the Globes?